Hey, welcome back, everyone. If you saw the video I posted late last night, I headed up to Frisco last night to. They were setting up for today's Dallas card show, but there was a 2.5 hour setup trade night, or basically it's just the show opening for everybody that shows up. So maybe go take a look at that if you're interested. You'll see some old stuff, kind of some of the variety of stuff that we see at some of our local card shows, since I know that a lot of you out there aren't fortunate enough to have those. We're very blessed to have, some steady card shows in our area. So I made some pickups. I figured I'd show them to you. Show them to you on here. Show them to you now. It was pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. So my first purchase was from Rich Klein, who a lot of you may know. He writes for Go GTS, works at ComC, used to work at Beckett. Pretty well known in the hobby. Wrote for Beckett for a while, so you would see his name in there. Anyway, made some pickups from his boxes, had some time to go through them. He sets up with just, 4-row boxes galore. So it's really, it's tough to get through them all, and you don't know what you looked at last time, what you looked at this time. But I found a spot, grabbed a handful of cards, so I figured I'd show them to you real quick. I've started reacquiring some of the cards in my youth and working on collections of the handful of guys I collected pretty hardcore. So Will Clark was one of those. So I picked up just some of his 87 Donruss rookies. Just throw in a binder. I'd like to get a 9-page sheet full of those. And then also got some of the tops, the dreaded 1987 tops that so many hate. And then again, so many love. But anyway, those were for me, just something small, nothing big. I did pick up something for my friend Ben on Twitter at Our Trading Cards and part of the About the Cards web show on YouTube. Check that out, About the Cards, and you'll find them. Was able to get this 87 Donruss McGuire from another seller, and it's got a little bit it's got some white at the top, it's got some dings, but it was $1. I'll send it to him. He's a diehard McGuire collector, so I thought it was fun, and I would send that his way. Back to what I got from Rich. I just kind of put that there because it was with 87 Donruss. I love this set. I had to pick this card up when I saw it because this could potentially be the worst airbrush job in the history of all trading card airbrushings. I don't know that they ever used a teal color with the White Sox. Maybe they did. I could be wrong. I know they used some oddball colors for White Sox. They used red for a while. But holy cow, it's like a teal. I have no words. That's up there with, if it's not their worst airbrush, it's got to be amongst the worst, or at least I would hope it is, because I would hope there are not many worse airbrushes than that. And finally, the last card I picked up from him. I've seen these cards over time, never had one of my own, but I picked up, I think they're 1951, but they are Redman cards. Offer expires in 52, so 52 Redman. He had 3 different cards. This was the most expensive one, but it was a Hall of Famer, so it was like, what the heck? The other options were Gil McDougall, who's a Yankee, and then there was another gentleman. He was an A's player that I haven't heard of. Now that I think about it, maybe I should have looked into that for Ben. I didn't know a whole lot about these. Apparently, these had tabs on them that are missing because I noticed that the bottoms are not evenly cut. You can see that even here. But again, it's something cool. It's something different to add. I'm not a type collector, but it's still cool to have different random things in your collection. So those were the purchases I made in the back room. If you saw the video last night, you know what I'm talking about. Up front, the reason I went to the show was because Roger Neufeld from Oklahoma was going to be there, and he did not disappoint. He definitely had some new T206 cards that I hadn't seen before. He'd made a purchase, and I think he was up, if I was going to estimate, he was probably up around in the, I had 50 to 75 different ones. So I picked up a few, and I'm going to give you a quick glance at them, and I decided I'm going to be, I believe it's Max Jackson. who goes through, and he gives really great on YouTube. He's on YouTube, so look him up if you like the old stuff, the T206s. But he gives great descriptions and rundowns of these players. I don't know nearly as much as he does, but I do have the book, the T206 collection, The Players and Their Stories by Tom Zappala. It's a great book, so I figured I've got 4 cards here, so I'll show you the cards. Tell you why I picked them up, because they each really, I picked them up for a particular reason. As I'm probably up to close to 50 cards now. Early on, I was just picking up quantity. I was picking up low grade as nice as I could, or as many as I could. And now that I'm getting a little better, it seems like everything I'm picking up has more of a reason to it, and that is the case with all 4 of these cards. But I'm going to read you the quick excerpt from the book on all 4 of these. So we'll shove the book there. You'll see the edge of it. But anyway, first card I bought. Charlie Carr, Indianapolis Indians. Why did I buy this card? I bought this card because I want to do the Indianapolis team set. It's 4 or 6 players. I can't recall. I already have one. I have the Hayden. This will be my second. It was in great shape for the price. This is actually was the lowest price of any of the ones I bought. But pretty excited to find that. Just for a little bit of information, I use T206 websites, and one of them has a scarcity ranking. I think it's T206 Insider. I should have written that down. And per that, the Charles Carr card is the 172nd most scarce card in the set. Surprisingly enough, with the cards I picked up, the most scarce card I bought was the lowest price. The most common card I bought was the highest price. You'll see why later on. It was just interesting, the reverse correlation on that. But anyway, just for a little bit for Charlie Carr. From the book, Charlie Carr was known more for his role as manager of the Indianapolis Indians in the American Association than for his playing skills in the major leagues. Dependable at first base, Carr played part-time for several teams. His best year was 1903 when he batted .281 with 154 hits. After his tour with the Reds, Carr became player-manager of the Indianapolis Indians through the 1910 season. 1908, he batted .301 while playing first base, leading the Indians to a first-place finish. Carr managed the Utica Utes of the New York State League in 1911, which these cards were from 1910 to 1911, and the Kansas City Blues of the American Association in 1912 and 13. He then returned to the majors in 1914. He finished up in the Federal League, batting a solid .293 at the age of 37. Carr made a comeback in 1919 to play for the Providence Grays in the Eastern League when he was 42. Over his 9 minor league seasons, he batted .289 in 4,119 at-bats. So again, the reason I picked that one up was for my Indianapolis Indians team set that I guess I can say I'm working on now that I've got 2 of them. So, the second card that I picked up was this one. It is Jacob Weimer. This card is the 261st most scarce in the set. But the reason I picked this one up, you can kind of see through right here, and you can see something. Well, what is all that nonsense? It is a stamp on the back, to which I have not really figured out what it says, other than I think the last 4 are BROS, so it's brothers of some sort. But there is, in this set, or amongst the cards out there, you'll find different stamps. F. Scott Fitzgerald was a collector, and there are stamps of his collection, and there are other various ones. So I don't know what this is. I've still got to research that. I know that there is another T206 website that focuses on the stamps, and they have, these are stamps that we found on there, etc., so on and so forth. So stamps on the back of cards are always something I look for. I'm sure I'll never run into an F. Scott Fitzgerald one, but, you know, or if I will, it might be a little out of my comfort zone. But nonetheless, that is why I picked that one up. A little bit about Jake Weimer. Much shorter blurb on this one. Southpaw Tornado Jake Weimer was 29 years old when he broke into the majors in 1903, so putting him at about 35 on his card. He was already a seasoned veteran after 7 seasons in the minors. As a major league rookie, Weimer went 20-8 with a 2.3 ERA for the Cubs. He threw 3 shutouts that season, beating Giants ace Christy Mathewson in 2 of them. That's not too shabby. The next year he went 20-14 with a 1.91 ERA, and in 1905 posted an 18-12 record with a 2.26 ERA. Because the Cubs had plenty of pitching talent and sorely needed help at third base, Weimer was traded to the Reds for Harry Steinfeld in 1906. With their Tinker to Evers to Chance infield complete, the Cubs then won 3 straight pennants. Weimer won 20 games for the Reds in 1906, but burned out quickly after that. So speaking of the Tinker to Evers to Chance, all 3 of those I could have picked up last night, but didn't, and I can kind of explain why in a little bit if I remember. So anyway, Jake Weimer, card number 2 of 4. So now on to card number 3, George McQuillan. George McQuillan is the 277th most scarce card in the set. The reason I picked him up is I believe this is of the 4 that I picked up, this is the one that had the least reason for me to actually pick it up. But I believe there is at least one, if not a couple, of people that basically kind of hoard his cards. So when I can find cards that I know are being hoarded or I think are being hoarded out there, and I find them in person, I go ahead and try and pick them up because I know that picking them up online could drive up the price or somebody's just going to beat me to it. Could be wrong on him, but, I'll take a look and see in time. So, about George McQuillan. Ooh. Called the Giant Killer for his domination over New York, George McQuillan started his major league career in 1907 by pitching 25 consecutive innings without giving up a run. That record stood for 101 years until 2008 when the A's Brad Ziegler went 39.1 scoreless innings to open his career. I like hearing Brad Ziegler's name because he is a card collector. If you follow him on Twitter, he may not be quite Pat Neshek level, but he's a card collector and he does a lot of, he will sign through the mail. McQuillan posted a 1.69 ERA in his first 4 seasons, including 1908 when he went 23-17 with a 1.53 ERA. He helped lead the Phillies to their 1915 pennant and still is their career ERA leader. Starting in 1909, however, he struggled with alcoholism and was labeled unreliable and out of condition. The Reds sent him to Hot Springs, Arkansas in 1910 to dry out, but they released him in 1911 since his skills were declining. After a few years with the American Association's Columbus Senators, McQuillan made it back to the bigs, but was mediocre pitcher at best. He worked in the minors until 1926, mostly for Columbus, retiring with a 15-season, 179-160 minor league pitching record. He later managed a furniture store in Columbus. So, George McQuillan, boys and girls. So, the number 1, the card I spent the most on, fairly enough when you see what it is. It's a card that, to be honest, I don't know that I was ever going to be able to have in person, but this one has a little bit of front and back paper loss on it, so I was able to get it in my comfort zone. Christy Mathewson portrait. My first Hall of Famer from the T206 set I picked up 2 weeks ago. I've been collecting these for almost 2 years, so the fact that I was able to add a second in 2 weeks is pretty awesome. So you saw the paper loss on the right side of the front, kind of on that same side, so the left back there's a little bit, so not sure what was going on over there. But beautiful card, something I don't know that I ever imagined I would have. So where I said, There were the Tinker Evers Chance cards. I could have had those, or I could have bought a lot more cards in the range of the first three you saw for their price point and focused on quantity. But, I've worked a little bit more toward quality lately. There's been a reason I've bought cards that I've bought, and I'm just getting further along. I mean, I'm up to 50 cards, so, sometimes the commons I don't need as much, and I've also scooped up a lot of the cheaper, low-grade commons, so I decided to just go ahead and get the Christy Mathewson. Not much else I can say on that. So I am thrilled to add that card to my T206 binder. So that card is the 331st most scarce card in the set. So it's pretty common. There's 400, what is it? 420, 520? Oh, I'm having a brain fart here. Anyway, it's in the upper half of most common cards, but it's Christy Mathewson. And I read something recently where it seemed like Cobb and Mathewson T206s were the ones that were still kind of going up and had a chance to appreciate. So, that also made me feel just a little bit better, knowing that if I ever came into some hard times and needed to sell some of my cards, that I would be able to at least recoup what I paid for the card. I try to buy wisely with my T206s, so if I do run into some hard times and I need to sell them, at least I can get back what I put into them. So it's kind of like holding money, essentially. Anyway, give you the quick blurb on Christy Mathewson. Even though he is a Hall of Famer and one of the best pitchers of all time, they don't go pages and pages on these guys. So Christy Big Six Mathewson was one of the dominant pitchers of his era, along with Walter Johnson and Cy Young. And when it comes to the greatest pitcher of all time, he certainly deserves consideration. He won an amazing 373 games over his 17-year career and owned some of the greatest hitters of the day. His team won the World Series in 1905. Mathewson topped the 30-win column 4 times and the 20-win column 9 times. He won the National League Pitchers Triple Crown in 1905 and 1908 and was the ERA champion and strikeout champion 5 times. After his playing days were over, he managed the Cincinnati Reds through 1918 and became president of the Boston Braves in 1923. During World War I, he was accidentally gassed in a training maneuver. This eventually caused the tuberculosis that killed him in 1925. Christy Mathewson was one of the 5 charter members of the Hall of Fame, inducted in 1936. So, I don't even know what to say. I'm super excited about my Christy Mathewson. That's definitely a cornerstone quality piece. Even though I've collected cards for 30 years, I've never really focused on high-end, more expensive stuff. I've always collected stuff I liked, stuff for fun, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I still do, because this is fun, but it was awesome to get a cornerstone piece and, a legendary player from one of the most recognizable sets ever produced. Maybe someday I'll be able to acquire some of the other big names, but it's gonna be a while before I can top that pickup. So there you go. There you have it. You can see in the screen right there everything that I picked up. Obviously, it wasn't a lot compared to some of my other card show hauls, but don't let that fool you. Obviously, quantity or quality can work over quantity in a lot of cases. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the look. A little bit of knowledge on those T206 players. If you hadn't heard of some of them, which admittedly I hadn't before collecting T206 cards, at least. So anyway, hope you like the look. You can see in front of you. You can check me out. I've got a website, Beans Ball Card Blog. I do post blog posts. I'm working on checklists, tips, hints for collecting, things like that. Hoping to get that a little more ramped up than I have been. But yeah, I'd love to see you check that out. You can also go on there, enter your email address, and anytime I do a blog post, it'll be emailed to you, so you don't even have to come to the site. You can just click on it and read there. Be awesome if you do that. On Twitter, you can find me at Beans B Card Blog. The allowable amount of letters would not let me put ball card blog, so it's just Bean. Ooh, I got that wrong. It's Beans, Beans, B Card Blog. I'm going to have to update that. Oopsie. And Facebook, you can find me at Beans Ball Card Blog. I don't do as much through there, but I do, all my posts do go on there, so feel free to follow my page on there. And if you're not watching this directly from YouTube, but you have a YouTube account, please go over to Beans Ball Card Blog, subscribe, give my videos likes. It really helps out more than you think. I'd love to try to get up to 100 subscribers, sometime relatively soon, definitely by the end of the year. So anyway, hope everyone has a wonderful Saturday. Hopefully, if there's a card show in your area, you can get out. If not, I hope you're watching some college football. That's what I'm going to be doing the rest of the day. So, have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and happy collecting, y'all.